When we walked in the door today, it was like yesterday. It becomes a family, and you don't find that in other colleges.
And so as parents, when your son goes from year 12 to the big outside world, you want to feel reassured they're going to a place that they're safe.
The more we got to know Warrane and the people within Warrane, the more reassured we were.
I think it really gives you, a sense of security, a sense of pride. When I first came here, it already felt like almost like a second home, home away from home.
The feeling I got when I was there last year was that the guys that were there really wanted to be there, that they were very committed to wanting to be there, and they realised they were fortunate to be there.
The goal is very clear. We wanted to give the students who came here a picture of what they could achieve, both by personal development, by academic effort, that they could have an impact on society, change the world they lived in for the better.
Well, in the early 80s, we would get up to all sorts of mischief. And
a fellow who was a little bit wild himself, somebody on a dare said they would give him $10. At that time, that was a fair bit of money, if he would jump off the balcony in the main common room. And he did it.
Actually, it probably wasn't all that smart to do certain things. In fact, it was quite dumb and a waste of money.
Going up to the top floor and throwing water balloons down at people playing cage soccer. That was always fun.
I mean, that was a thing. I've never thrown any water bombs out the window, but
that wasn't me. It must have been someone else.
Having been chaplain at Warrane for a while, I've had my fair share of water bombs falling through the skylight, etc. Trying to catch the water boy, John Larkin, staying up till 2 a.m, never succeeding. You know who you are.
I think stealing the stocks from New College was probably the highlight for me.
Oh, the stocks, yeah.
So we heard about the rumour of the stocks and the history of them, and we thought we'd go and reclaim them for Warrane.
By the time I'd gotten there, I think the stocks had been firmly bolted on the wall, but yeah.
When they bolted it to the wall, we had to crowbar it off. I'm not joking. Do I regret it? No.
Yeah, I'd put them in the category of pranks and good times.
I came to Warrane from the US. I was invited to say, well, this Warrane is starting up in Sydney, and would you like to come out? So I thought, well, this is fantastic.
They were difficult years. The university was changing, young men were changing. You had to be part of the mob, basically.
The thing that was difficult for us at the very beginning was to try and get across what we were trying to achieve here. That's what it was about. How do you create the environment here? And I always said there's a number of things you've got to have, but you've got to have a lot of dedicated staff.
Father Joe Martin's had enormous influence. And he was the one that took the brunt of a lot of the protests. There was a big cry of "Joe must go."
Some of this opposition to the college was actually organised at the level of some student bodies, and they spray painted or graffiti around the campus. Joe must go. Meaning that I should get kicked out and the university take over the college or something like this.
Yeah, they had the effigy. They were burning the effigy in front of the college.
Well, it was certainly tough in the early 70s in that there were protests. It was the time of the anti-Vietnam War protests, and while the Vietnam War and Opus Dei were quite different, the rent-a-mob crowd seemed to see them as one.
Warrane wouldn't exist were it not for the commitment of those members of Opus Dei.
Which doesn't exist much in our society anymore, that desire to fight for the truth and aspire to do what God's work is. Well, that's what Opus Dei is, it's God's work.
The most important part of Warrane is its kind of foundation on the spirit of the Catholic Church, and that was really, really great coming into an environment of young guys who were practicing their faith as well.
In one of those first years, somebody said, because of all the opposition, that the residents wouldn't be able to perform well on the sporting field, and that we wouldn't do very well in the sporting competition. Well, that year we won this college trophy.
One of the best parts about college is how passionate everyone is about the sport.
Playing sport for the college was something which was always hyped up. You might have played Saturday sport or something, but you don't have the experience of walking down to the Dave Phillips Oval with a bunch of 80 guys with war paint on.
There's a tremendous spirit in college, unity. We work together. Whenever you go to sports, there's always a big crowd of the students down there supporting the team. There's a great feeling within the college. This is ours. We want to win this.
We had this motto, "Wear Red," and we had a song around it called "Wear Red." So we just sing that all the time. Wear red, wear red.
We had a previous attempt at doing a song, and we realised that we'd made it way too complex, and "Wear Red" was at about the right level.
Wear red because wear red because wear red because wear red. Go home, you dogs. Go home, you dogs. Go home, you dogs. Go home. We're red because we're red because we're red because we're red.
A bit boisterous. Perhaps the tone could be softened a little at times. When I say war,
You say red. War. Red. War. Red. When I say war, you say red. War. Red. War.
In terms of sport, it's hard to find competition now for Warrane. We've won the Sports Shield 8 years in a row.
Andrew Watson, one of the brothers of Father John, kicked the winning goal that made the difference between winning and losing not only the match but the inter-college shield.
My brother was here at the time as well, Andy. We played rugby together, which is pretty special because he passed away, as you know, last year, and that was probably the last time I remember playing rugby properly with him. And we played against Baxter in the final. He won kicking a penalty from the sideline.
being a first year, you're really thrown into the deep end straight away in O week.
Straight from the get-go with things like log adventure, the college is really giving you an opportunity to live beyond your comfort zone.
My highlight that I really think of Warrane was right at the start and just going to O week. Got thrown into this week of things where I was just like, everything was awesome. You know, we'd be down at the beach or we'd do the chants or we're doing the canoe thing and just like battling each other to get the footy. And
first day, there's odd people left, right and centre.
Yeah, and then like the classic log adventure in O week, that was a very interesting time. Yeah, so you wake up at like 3 in the morning and then they just drive you, they blindfold you and they drive you and drop you off with a couch in the middle of nowhere.
Log adventure was probably like it was quite tough. I found it quite tough. You know, you're exhausted the whole time. There was a distinct point where we'd gotten out of this national park and we'd gotten to the bus stop and it was so bleak. And I just thought, oh, time to give up. You know, chuck the bench away. Times like that in O week where it was really difficult, but then looking back, it was awesome.
But that, you know, that kind of bonding, I suppose, which is what it's about, leads to a fairly strong experience.
All those activities in O week are building up those virtues. So I think being strong-willed and kind of knowing what you want, making your own way in life, but also doing it with other people. Because in life you can't get through it by yourself, you have to rely on other people as well.
Right from the moment you get in O week, what they really want you to do is they want you to be better people than when you first entered. That you'll leave men, even though you enter as perhaps boys.
I think the emphasis on Warrane here is really to teach young men to strive to be the best versions of themselves, particularly as gentlemen.
Desire to be a better person. I think, you know, college foments that.
And it's that attention like to each and every boy that comes through, each and every man that comes through here.
I'm amazed constantly at the variety of people we have here. I don't know, you have sportsmen, you have geeks, you have operators, you have guys that find it very difficult to come out of their shell. I've seen many different people flourish in this college.
The leaders of the future will come out of Warrane. Warrane tends to mould men.
I think after being there for 2 years, I think I became a man there, so it's very personal for me, the journey of being there.
The great value about being at Warrane is learning that you can talk about things that are very close to the heart with other men.
Manliness doesn't come from listening to someone give a talk and then discussing it. It comes from living it.
We dropped them off here as young boys. We picked them up at the end of their studies. They were gentlemen.
Well, I met my wife at a Warrane social event, so at a bush dance in 1995. It was a function at the, it was in the city in the Rocks at the Argyle Wool Shed, and it was just a function that was put on, and it was Warrane and largely Creston girls, and yeah, we had a great night, and as I say, I met the woman of my life.
I saw so many couples come out of their connection with Warrane College. And indeed, my wife I met through connections through Warrane College.
Our first date was the
Warrane Ball.
Yeah, the Warrane Ball in 2014.
In my second year, I was the social director, trying to organise events for so many boys and trying not to let them down.
A harbour cruise itself is always good fun, and I mean, what a great way to actually experience the Sydney nightlife, if you will. Like in first year, I remember being told, probably by Gerald actually, that it was like, Warrane has the best ball on campus.
Asking out a date to the ball, that's probably the most stressful part of the entire thing. Sometimes the boys need a bit of help to, you know, get him through a bit of motivation. You know, oh, just go ask her what's the worst that can happen. She says no. Yeah, that does happen often.
What I noticed about going to events that Warrane held, like the Warrane Ball, was just kind of how open and friendly everyone was to sort of just introduce themselves and make good chat, really.
There's so many opportunities and so many events that allows the boys to get involved with, invite other girls along to the special events, the balls and things, which are just amazing opportunity to just, really get involved as part of Warrane.
The formal dinners, I think, are fabulous.
Ken and I attend formal dinners, and you just see the people that are there listening to those talks, and you think, yeah, they're influencing young minds. We hear the students during those dinners and talks. They're learning not only about, through their studies, but they're learning a wider knowledge when they stay at Warrane.
I liked the way different members of the college would stand up and give little speeches about what was happening. They'd talk about the rugby game, they'd talk about how it was turned around at halftime, everyone would cheer it, that sort of thing. There'd be a lot of engagement.
People are amazed that when you go to the dining room, you never sit by yourself. And I think that's a special thing about Warrane, that you do feel at home.
So I went to Vietnam, went to Vanuatu and Tonga, and of course Condobolin in rural New South Wales.
We went to Vietnam, and that was probably the toughest work camp I'd been on. The living conditions were difficult. It was hot, stinky. The bathroom situation was, pretty unique. But looking back on those times, I think they were some of the best.
So part of working on the school site was that we'd play soccer, and I think a couple of times we even went into the classroom, did a bit of teaching. I mean, we obviously got a lot out of it just through playing with the kids, and they seemed to enjoy it as well.
Going to a place like regional New South Wales, like Condobolin, where we were able to lift sandbags and help people in a post flood relief work. Those were pretty amazing things to do.
I feel like the happiest you are in life is when you think about yourself the least. I think those work camps were a great experience, a different side of life. And I think that charitable giving is a big part of Warrane.
One of the memories that I'm most fond of was coffee club.
It's 9 p.m, someone's knocking on my door like, yep, we got coffee club now, let's go. I'm like, what's coffee club?
Coffee Club! Let's go, boys! Let's go, boys!
Yeah, Coffee Club was actually around when I was here at the college. So,
did you have coffee in Coffee Club?
So, occasionally.
There was a coffee club every night on every floor. You were generally encouraged to come along and have a gathering, have a get together with other guys from the floor and just talk about what's been going on. Tell stories.
It could be, you know, playing a game, having a discussion, you know, having a debate, actually going out, getting ice cream or a beer or doing an activity.
It's fantastic, people love it. I remember at one stage there was a girl very, very upset with Warrane because her boyfriend was a tutor and there was a space in the evening that was not hers. It was coffee club time.
Most treasure memories of coffee clubs that celebrate all sorts of odd things, from birthdays to engagements. And
like, I think a birthday at Warrane is really special, particularly for those who don't live at home or haven't been home for a while. It's like a family. Like, you know that from the very beginning when you have your first coffee club.
It's that social aspect of friendship where you have been living with people from other countries, other cultures, other religions, but with a common purpose. You don't have to be cool or nerdy or anything. You can really just be yourself. And that leads to friendships which last a lifetime.
It is good to reflect on where Warrane has come from.
Who would have thought, you know, when those riots were on, you know, with this crazy endeavour.
To me, I get inspired when I come here. I now feel very much it's been a privilege to have been able to spend 50 years since one way or another involved.
It's such an honour and a privilege to be a part of the legacy of Warrane. Downstairs in that hallway, photos of the years, and to be a part of that, you know, lineage is awesome. You can just see in people who, you know, on a whim or a chance came to Warrane and they've got mates for life.
It's so hard to put it down to one thing because it's the whole culture. It's everything at Warrane. It's the open door policy. It's, you know, it's the staff and the tutors, how much effort they put in.
So really helping guys to take on the responsibility and grow up and fill those shoes. Yeah, that is the secret to the college.
It doesn't matter about the building. I mean, you could build it across the road, you could build it anywhere. Warrane is completely not a physical thing. It's the college, it's the people that make it.
Warrane College is not, it's not an institution, it's the people, and you only have to meet one person that changes your life.
You talk to any of the old boys and you feel like you're having the same conversation about the same people, but it could be 20 years apart. That's a great way of summarising the timelessness of the college.
It's kind of mind-boggling to think about how many people out there have grown from this kind of experience at Warrane.
Within 50 years, you know, there'll be people who remember when it was founded, and it's now an established part of the Australian landscape.
50 years is a long time, but also it's not that long. We have so much more work to do. This is just the beginning, really.
Warrane becomes yours and you hold it, you carry it, you cradle it, and it passes on. It's still something you take when you walk out the door.